This is the 185th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the second week of August, 2014. This episode is titled Backstage Pass. CloudFocus Weekly is brought to you by Arkus, and we are hiring. If you are a Salesforce consultant and want to be part of a unique and growing company, send your resumes to careers@arkusinc.com, ARKUSINC.com. I'm your host, Jason Atwood, and joining me, co-host 185 times in a row, and ready to open the kimono and talk about everything that we do, Justin Nelson. Justin, how are you doing today?
Wow. Quite the intro. I have to live up to that now, don't I?
I think this is getting close to me just doing the podcast by myself.
You should just do the podcast yourself.
I could answer all these questions.
You should just record like 10 to 15 of the more common things that I say and just have a button that you can press that just loops it in.
Go on.
Yeah, that'd be one of them.
It's so true.
That's another. No, we need to move this along.
All right. We got an
have
agenda
a time crunch, and we gotta get this going.
Well, we could talk about time crunch as part of our Backstage Pass. But first, or should we put this to next week? Let's punt this. Let's punt the blog to next week.
Punt the blog to next week.
Okay. Because you guys either get the blog or you get CloudFocus picks of the week. So I think you want the picks. So we're going to punt the blog.
You can go read the blog.
Well, we're not going to tell you what it is. You can't go read it because we're not going to tell you what it is.
Well, they can go read it.
Well, next week there'll be another
there.
one. Anyway, we're going to punt the blog post next week.
Go read it.
Go read it. It's good, but go read it. You don't know what it is.
Go read it now.
So this is a special episode. Special episode. Thanks, Arky, for putting in that.
Thanks,
cut.
Guy behind the window, producer person.
Arky behind the glass.
Yep, behind the glass.
We decided, as it had been asked a few times, and I've gotten a lot of questions. When
Headquarters
I meet people,
has decided.
The podcasting head of podcasting at Arkus said that why don't you guys do like a question and answer and / backpage or backstage episode. So this is going to be two things. One, we're going to answer questions. We have people ask those questions, which some are like about the podcast and some are just like random, which are funny.
Some are Salesforce questions.
And some are Salesforce. So we're going to answer those questions.
How many do we have? 5? 4?
Well, we've picked, I think, 5 that we're going to answer.
I think we picked 4.
Okay, we picked 4. We're skipping one of these.
We're skipping one of these ones in here.
All right. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what, the backstageness of it all. We're going to basically, because when I listen to a lot of podcasts, I like to know like where they are, and a lot of them describe where they are. I'm kind of going to describe our environment and our studio and how we work and the sort of weirdness that goes on and sometimes and
some
like
of the hardware, some of the software.
Yeah, and also how we're set up. What because again, I think sometimes
what does it look like
to be
in the room?
Right.
In
so
the
like
studio.
You are in a monkey suit right now.
That's not true. That's not true at all.
He's actually in a t-shirt.
I'm in a t-shirt.
I'm in a
shorts,
suit.
And I have my foot up on a beanbag chair.
Yeah, 2 beanbag chairs.
2 beanbag chairs piled on top.
All right,
of
so
each
let's
other.
get to that after. I think that'll be fun. We'll just kind of do a little back and forth. But let's start with some questions. So why don't you do the questioning reading thing?
Question reading?
Yeah, do something useful.
All right. So this one came in from Twitter, from @Leadgineering.
Leadgineering. Seems like a company.
Yeah, does sound like a company.
Yeah,
sounds like a product.
Sounds like a product, and it sounds like a product who's asking us a question about a product. But okay.
Well, not really. Maybe not their product, but interestingly enough, for Q&A podcast, what do you guys see in SFDC's Salesforce.com's future WRT? I assume that means with respect to marketing, whether exact target, Pardot. Thanks.
So the answer to thanks is you're welcome.
You are welcome. Leadgineering.
You want me to start?
Go for it.
I mean, first thing, again, been following Salesforce for a long, long time. Some would say stalking, and there seems to be sometimes you think that they know what they're doing, and it seems like a plan, and other times it seems like they're just shots in the dark, and sometimes they stick. I feel like what they've been doing in the marketing space for the last couple of years is actually a plan. It seems like they put together a series of acquisitions that are trying to build out a set of products to do certain things. And obviously between email and landing pages and the Exact Target and Pardot, but Exact Target had just purchased Pardot, so that's like a double whammy. But then I've also seen things like Buddy Media and Radiant 6, which I feel like were they thought they were going to get into more and build into a bigger product. And I think maybe my gut is that some of that's kind of going away, and maybe they were either after the market, where sort of people aren't as interested in that as a marketing arm. And so I actually don't think they're going to go much further. I think they kind of covered all the bases. They got the social, they have the monitoring, they have the email, they have the landing.
They have a cloud.
They have
marketing
a
cloud.
So I guess if the question is, are they going to be doing more, like purchasing? I don't know where the holes are at this point.
The holes are when the gaps become when new things evolve.
Right.
Then there'll be a gap. Like, Salesforce for a while had mass email, and then
still has mass email.
Right. But now they have, bigger mass email.
Right.
And then there were a lot of partners that came out with products that integrated with Salesforce. And some of these products existed, some of them before Salesforce. And
right.
Some of them, built themselves along with Salesforce and so on and so forth. But, there was a gap there, right? There was, why do I need to use somebody else's third-party product? Why do I need to sign, another, go through another vendor procurement process, or sign with another company who's going to have my data in their cloud? I don't want all of this. Right. I just want, I trust you. I vetted you. I now want to use you for marketing automation. And you, Salesforce, could not, before the acquisition of ExactTarget and Pardot, truly say that you had a very good end-to-end marketing automation solution.
Right. Well, even now, I'm not sure they could say
It's not a great story, I will tell you. The ExactTarget story is not great at the moment. What you see on those stages is, it's not exactly what you can do.
So to me, the answer to the question is integration. But it's sort of it's how to predict the future. You look to the past. What does Salesforce do? Salesforce buys products, and then within a year or two or three, depending, plans to bring them on platform and make them more included, and then build them into the licensing model of Salesforce so they can bring into their account executives and they can sell this product. And I think you see this time and time again, that they'll buy a product, everyone will get all excited about it, but it'll be a separate piece. AEs don't know about it. They don't know the pricing or how to work it, and they slowly bring it on platform. It becomes a bigger deal because now it's part of the licensing model. They don't have a separate sales team. They don't have a separate, support team. And then eventually it becomes, a piece of Salesforce, and or goes away and becomes just a piece of your overall license. I mean, answer me this. When's the last time Salesforce changed their pricing of their default licensing? So professional, enterprise, I guess unlimited would be the one that just changed.
Yeah, the one that just changed.
But enterprise, when's the last price change that you can think of?
The actual cost of the license?
That you go to the website and see on $125 per user per month.
I don't know.
Don't Google it.
I'm not Googling it. My screensaver just popped on. I don't know. I don't follow the pricing that much. I can't even guess.
But have you ever heard of a change?
On the lower end ones, I think Contact Manager was $2, and now it might be a little bit more. I know there used to be Force.com one app, and that was free for 100 users. That doesn't exist anymore. There's some stuff with the licenses that have changed around, but you really have to be You have to be picking some nits.
EE has not changed.
No, I have been. Which is probably the most popular edition, hasn't really changed.
Now, of course, no one pays that price, and we'll get to that in a further question. But it's not changed. The price of the product has not changed in, I can think of, 10 years.
Okay.
Well, that's cuckoo. But how do they do it? Well, first of all, no one pays that price. Second of all, they bring in more and more features. So instead of because the architecture to run this stuff and the cost of technology goes down over time. Things should eventually go down. So what do? You either make things cheaper as they get less expensive to run servers, less expensive to do software, less expensive, right? Or you put in more features. So the way they do is they prop up the price with features, putting in more features that you get out of the box with the price. So that's the future, is they keep buying stuff, integrating it, selling it off, like selling the individual for people who really want it, slowly integrating the platform, and eventually it either goes free or becomes a different license that you then integrate in Salesforce.
Or it gets put into Ultimate Edition or whatever it is. Performance Edition?
Performance Edition.
Yeah.
Next question.
Ultimate Edition.
PXE.
It can't be Ultimate? All right.
Or are you going to pick one or two of these?
I'm going to pick one of these because one of them actually fits into the behind-the-scenes thing, so I'm going to save that for later. So, Cheryl Feldman, thank you for sending in 2 questions. We'll answer one of them later.
Yes.
So this is at Cher Feldman on Twitter, asks for both, meaning both of us.
Yes.
What is your favorite #Salesforce feature of all time?
I thought you were going to ask the other one.
No, the other one's for the behind the scenes.
Oh, okay.
This is the better question.
Favorite
Sorry,
feature?
Cheryl. One of your questions was better than the other.
Yes. Mommy won.
Right.
Let's go.
Go on. What's your favorite feature of all time? And you cannot say custom objects or custom fields. Not a valid answer.
My favorite feature of all time.
I know what mine is. It's pretty obvious.
All right, you say yours because I think it would be the same, so I'll pick something else.
Well, I don't think it'll be the same.
What is it?
Well, permission sets. My favorite Salesforce feature of all time are permission sets.
Brought to you by the Permissioner.
But permission sets are my all-time favorite thing.
I was really going to go to something that, like, I was just more thinking of something I absolutely use every single day and something that if I didn't have, I would cry a lot. And I can't decide whether it's sort of a newer feature that's gotten much better or maybe the oldest feature that I can think of. So either related recent items, which I think of as just, like, I can't imagine living without it in an org at this point. I kind of would just die. Or search. Search is something that I think is sort of the foundation of any good system, and Salesforce Search is pretty good. It's not the best in the world, but like I was thinking about those two features, if you were to remove one, which one would you, I think I'd survive better without recent items. So I think Search is probably my favorite feature.
See, I was trying to think through my head, and I had a bunch of stuff, and list views were towards the top of my list.
Yep.
My list. Were
Custom
list
list
views, the ability to have a
I
a
didn't
list
think
of things
custom
to work
objects
through.
or fields.
Well,
or
I kind of started there. I was like, well, if you really want to get down
the
to
login
it,
screen,
the ability
two-factor.
the ability to add a field, not really a feature. But I thought back to like the days, well, there wasn't
code.
custom objects or like, hey, workflow rules. Oh, outbound messages. Like, all right, I'm not going to go with
Sandbox. Sandbox is
is a nice
amazing.
feature. But anyway, from features,
right.
I'm saying permission sets. You're saying search.
And I'm saying the new enhanced chatter on
Awesome search.
not the old crappy pick a type of thing and search.
Well, the old crappy pick a kind of thing search did have one feature that I quite enjoyed that the new search doesn't have.
What's that?
If you typed in something and it only found one of them, it would just bring you right to the record and not a search result. But it didn't have the type ahead like today where if it finds the exact thing, you can just use your little keyboard
I use
and get
that
to it.
constantly, especially
Everyone
reports.
does. Everyone does.
If you don't, that's got to be my favorite feature.
All right.
Next up,
Scott Hemider. Scott, interesting question.
Yep.
I like that you went to the dictionary. So, ask Jason
this is awesome.
to say the word. Should I say it properly or should I say All right.
Say
the word segue. Then Google define segue and find an audio pronunciation. It's actually segway.
What?
Not segui.
It's not a segui?
Never knew if it was an inside joke or not, but it puts my inner grammar police in a tizzy.
Well, put your inner grammar police back in the cage.
Yeah.
Or untizzy them. It's a joke. And,
it's a joke.
Justin and I, for the behind the scenes, I guess we'll cut into some behind the scenes. Justin and I have been podcasting together since 2007. In fact, this month, 2007. So that's 7 years. You and I. We have combined over 400 episodes.
Right.
Of
now, this is number 185.
So you do the math of where the other one is and how many
and
it
you
is.
can try, and if you find it, you find it. You can tell us you found it, but we
found it.
But
anyway, it came up in that one, and because I think it's a joke from It's a joke from something. It's some line from some show.
It might have just been like we were in a silly mood and we just went with it.
It's not.
It's from something?
Yes, it's from.
Because I don't know what it's from.
Well,
I know it from us doing it, and so you must have said it the first time.
So yes, I say Sagui.
It's his thing.
As a joke, because it's a joke.
It's a joke, Scott.
I know that it's
next time you hear it.
I can't even say it the right way. It's a Sagui. A Sagui.
Next time you hear it, just laugh
Listen,
a little.
Segway is the thing you get on, you run around the, you run around with the two wheels. That's a Segway.
Right, that's a Segway.
A Sagui is when you go from one point to another.
All right,
Wait, hold on. Let's see if this works. Hold on one second. Let's see if this works.
What are you doing?
Segway.
Oh, there you go.
Segway.
There you go. That's how you really say it.
That's how you say it. All
All
right.
right.
Ooh,
let's
there's
get
a
to
soundboard.
another
Thanks,
question.
Arky.
Yep.
On the mic.
Arky behind the glass.
Behind the glass.
From Luke Kushnick. Thank you for sending us a question. Thank you for coughing.
Yeah, we don't have a cough button.
We don't have a cough button.
That's another
backstage. Oh, come on, Arky. All right. So perhaps a touchy question, but one that everyone ponders. How do I get the best value per license?
Oof.
That could be either what makes per license costs lower, e.g. more users, mixed license types, or what adds lots of value, e.g. using Premier Support for admin busy work. As a customer, I've got no basis for comparison, and all information comes from my AE, so it's not biased in my company's financial favor. That's kind of the question. Is like
just is looking at me like, are we really going to go down this path?
This is a tough one for us to answer.
No, this is a question that came from the audience about Salesforce. What I'm going to do is use my 1.5 billion years of Salesforce knowledge to answer it and give people the hints.
So not even possible.
To give
billion
people
and a half.
Billion and a half. Let's Sagui it.
All right. Let's go into it.
I think there's 3 factors that you can use. Well, first of all, we already said it. No one's paying retail. So if you look at the retail price and you're paying that, stop.
Right.
Sorry, stop paying that. Because I've known with Professional Edition or Group, the one that was like, $65.
That's professional.
It was Group, which is like 15.
I don't know. I think it's a little more than that.
I watched someone get it for a discount. 3 licenses.
Yeah.
With a discount. So, and to be honest, we don't have a lot of contracts. It's not like I don't deal with a lot of people's contracts in Salesforce. So I know a few customers and what they pay. I know what I pay. So I can just talk as what I pay and what I've been a Salesforce customer, I think 3 or 5 times. I've been a Salesforce customer that I was the one buying the Salesforce license, personally or whatever. And one, I work for that big company.
We're not going to talk about that one.
Well, that's legit. It's out there.
Can we use it as an example without giving real numbers?
Well, the numbers are published by
the numbers are no. I'd prefer to not talk about that.
Okay. Well,
we can use it as a really good example.
I can pull up a PR statement that talks about it, and
fine.
it's math.
You pull that up, but I'm gonna talk about that one as a one way to get the best value per license. So one of the ways that you can negotiate and get a better deal on your licenses.
So if I can find the actual pricing online.
If you can find the actual pricing, I'll say it.
Okay.
Is to sign longer contracts. So you can obviously buy, Enterprise Edition for 1 year. You can buy Enterprise Edition for 2 years. You can lock yourself in for 3 years, 4 years, however long you want. And the longer you sign on for, odds are the better sort of deal you're going to get in terms of like negotiation power. And therefore, you're getting more value for that license because you're paying less for it. And you're not, coming back a year later and renewing. You kind of have it for 3 years. So that's one way to think through the best value per license. Another way to really think about it is actually to think about...
And that's a way to negotiate price.
That's a way to negotiate price.
So that's
length
one of the 3.
Contract.
Length of contract.
Right. And
1, 3, 5 years, you get a better price.
And with that, also volume. So different, if you're buying 5 licenses, you're going to probably get different pricing if you're buying 5,000 licenses. That's common sense. Another thing to think about in terms of getting the best value per license is to think through the fact that you can mix and match. You don't have to, if let's just use Enterprise Edition as an example. There might be within your company or your organization 30 users that need Enterprise Edition because they are sales users or they are support users or they're marketing users who need certain objects inside of Salesforce, like opportunities, leads, campaigns, or cases. But then there's some users that don't need all those things. Really, they just need access to accounts and contacts and any custom objects that you might build to help support operational processes across the company. So knowing that you can mix and match, you don't have to, if you have 100 users, all 100 of them don't have to be Enterprise Edition users. You can have 30 Enterprise and 70 Force.com or platform users.
But you can't mix certain license types.
Certain license types.
So I can't have 5 professional, 5 enterprise.
No.
Well, I'm
you
saying
have to
be
right.
clear.
You have to be at
know what you're talking about.
At a certain level, right?
Because no PXE plus enterprise plus PE.
Right. And you also can't go down. You can go up.
Right.
So you can start at professional and you can work your way up to enterprise. But
so
you
length
can't...
of term, number of licenses.
Just cut me off anytime.
I'm summarizing.
Okay.
Length of term.
Keep going.
Number of licenses.
Keep going. Keep summarizing.
And license type and feature type. Because I throw that in now. You can use features that are add-ons that you need to have a license for as a way of negotiating price.
Work.com, data.com,
right.
Knowledge,
right.
Service Cloud.
I'll throw in some knowledge for you.
Right. Live Agent.
Right.
Those come to mind as throw-ins that you can help to get more value out of the baseline license.
And I think the thing that's obvious, I'm just going to say it because it is obvious, the more processes you build into Salesforce and the more you use it for, if your licensee uses it for one task that they do once a week, you're getting very little out of it. If they live in it and they do their entire business. So like us, it is the core of our business. So our entire business is run out of Salesforce. And so the value of it is higher to us. And so we get a better ROI on it because I have other software that we use, but it's the software that runs the business. So I know my AE is not listening, but the price is the price, and I'm always going to try to get a less price. But honestly, if I look at the value of what it brings to Arkus, it's not even a question. Now, other companies, they use it for smaller pieces of their functionality. So clearly, if you bring in more functionality into Salesforce, you can get better. Because he's kind of asking about pricing, and he's also talking about value. So value comes from more use. So, and I think this is like Salesforce Consulting 101, but find more things in your organization and bring them into Salesforce and get away from spreadsheets or whatever, and you'll get more and more value. If someone uses Salesforce and uses 6 different business functions in Salesforce versus someone who uses one, well, $125 divided by 6 versus $125 divided by 1, the math is simple. Mm-hmm. You make better things on it. So what's the last hint on the last tip? Or do you not have one? I have one.
If you have one, go for it.
The last tip is timing.
Timing.
Yeah,
good tip.
So, and this is not a secret. He's just giving me eyes across the room.
Eyes.
He's giving me eyes. It's okay. This is not because I know the AEs say
not
this to
googly
people.
eyes though.
No,
stare down eyes.
Stare down eyes. He thinks that I'm
fighting words.
Telling
eyes.
Secrets. So, like any sales organization, the time of the year, just like when you go to the car, the dealership. When they're trying to get rid of their old cars, they have better deals. You can get better deals in February than you can in spring. Like, there's just times of year where people are willing to work deals. Salesforce AEs are on commission. So a lot of what they do is on commission, and they have goals, and they track them, and they have clubs that they get into, and there's all sorts of things that they're trying to do. So now this is not necessarily to the time of the year, but also to your AE. If they're at the point where they're trying to get from point A to point B, and it's towards the end of their fiscal year or fiscal quarter, sometimes that's a good negotiating tactic because they want to get over that hump. Like they're $100,000 off, and you have a $110,000 deal for EE licenses. Well, and they get to go to Hawaii. Well, it's going to be more aggressive. So knowing Salesforce's fiscal year, which can be Googled.
That's easy. You can say
Yes.
that one.
Okay, so the timing of it is like when, and then your AE where they are too. If they just got over that hump and they don't need it anymore, then they're going to be maybe less. They'll still work with you, but definitely end of month, end of quarter for them is a time where they'll fight a little bit more for it or try. Now, of course, they can't. It's not like they can just go up or down and be like, oh, $1.50 because I'll get it. But they definitely are looking for, those times are pressure times, and they can push things up the ladder. Because remember, it's not just them. There's their boss, and their boss's boss, and their boss's boss, who all are on commissions, structures and sales, and so they all kind of want to win at those points. And I know we might have a Salesforce AE listener. They're given tough goals, and so they have to hit those goals, and so I think that's a good, to knowing when they're sort of, and again, they'll tell you, they'll say, hey, I'm coming up at the end of my month, let's work something out. I think that's another way to push into the where, when, and how of it.
Yeah.
Any others? I think those are the big three I usually tell
Those are
people.
the big ones. That timing one's a good tip. I mean,
Thanks.
Again, like getting the best value per license. Luke does mention, the mixed license types, the more users, those are great. And then as an example, like using Premier support for admin busy work, if you're at an organization that's large enough and your team of admins, or you're a single admin and you've got a lot of stuff that's just like crazy stuff, you can absolutely leverage Premier support plus admin to do some of that. Like, I don't feel like building 7 dashboards today.
Right.
Let me just quickly build one and then tell them what to do, like to clone them 7 ways from sideways, or you know what? I'm going to set it up so that certain users can contact them and request new users added, and make them just like this other user. Right. So in the instructions, you have to say, I want to create a new user, but I want them to be just like this other one. And here's the 5 fields I need to give you.
Right. That'd be a great use case. And
for Premier support can do that.
And take some time to do it.
Take some time.
Or copy this dashboard and make it for everybody. Build this dashboard 100 times over. So we had Premier support back with the company that signed the 30,000 license deal on the internet. I can't find the price of the deal, but I know it's publicly available. So I'm not going to mention the number, but it was a deal that had 30,000 licenses, and if you did the math, you'd figure out how much they paid for the licenses.
If you could find the total amount.
I think
and
it's
the number
online.
of years it was for.
That's correct.
You would need a couple of factors.
I'll just say the range of what I've seen people pay. Again, if you go sign, if you're Japan Post, they're not paying $125 per user.
Is that a real thing? Aren't they Tokyo Post?
Tokyo Post? Whatever.
I don't remember one way or the other. Back when Dell was using it like big time, I don't know if they still are.
So they have structures. I guess that's the other thing. So you get to numbers that are not normal numbers. Everything's on the table. Like they will.
Well, at that point, they're trying to do the enterprise license.
Enterprise,
agreement.
right? So there you go. All right. So that was our questions. Thanks for sending them in.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Those were good.
Those were good questions.
Good.
So let's do some behind the scenes.
Okay.
So I think I thought of some things that I would ask if I. So first is the setting. So I'd like to talk about our setting because I think I like to know where the people are doing what they're doing. So we used to podcast out of, when we started Arkus, out of an office, literally our office. Remember?
That's right.
We called it the podcast studio.
Our office with a round table.
Right.
It's kind of round, and one microphone.
It was actually
It was
a triangle.
triangular.
It was a triangle.
It was weird.
And one microphone. So
one microphone.
So back when we podcast before on our
if
other
you listen
podcast,
to episode 1, it probably does not sound as good as this episode.
because we used
sounds.
to what? We used to sit close to each other and like
No,
talk
we
like
sat
this.
across the table just like we are now, which we'll get to. But
Oh,
we
you
had
put it,
one
like,
of these
in between.
microphones, and we'd set it to a different setting to sort of pick up more, I guess, what would you call it? Omnidirectional.
Yes.
As opposed to now, it's really just picking up me as opposed to picking both of us up.
Right, and we're recording on 2 different tracks. We used to, way back when, before this podcast, we did Skype, and we'd record them.
We'd record the Skype calls, and there was a app that's
you
split.
you would send me your recording. I'd take my recording, and I'd use an app that would split the tracks out. So then I would have just my side, which was recorded on my side, which sounded good, and then I'd have just your side that was recorded on your side and sounded good, and then I'd merge them back up in GarageBand.
Right.
So that's what we use. We use GarageBand, and the setup is, well, right now we're in our new offices in Times Square, which we talk about a lot. We call it our studio. It's also our ideation room. We're surrounded by two huge walls of
Whiteboard walls with
walls.
Dreamforce 14 stuff written all over it.
We are at a round table now.
Yes.
We have
Perfectly round.
Perfectly round. We have not measured it, but it is a round table.
It's round.
We have both our laptops open in front of us, but we're looking over each other.
Right.
So like it's laptop, and then
We're
looking
eye to eye. I'm looking at you.
staring at you.
We used to be in a Google Wave.
Yes. Hashtag
For
Google Wave.
collaboration purposes. We're now in a Google Doc. There is one doc per episode.
Yes.
This is episode number 185. It is titled that way with the title and the date.
Right. So we put all the information, what we want to do. If in the week we throw a CloudFocus app, pick the weeks there. That's how I can tell what's going on. So we're sitting both looking at our computers. They're kind of back to back, and then our mics are towards us. We sit around this table.
For those that have seen us do this at Dreamforce, I mean, we did this last year in the community zone at Dreamforce.
That's true, and we brought
did it the same way.
The mics, didn't we? Yeah, we did.
We had these mics.
Yeah.
These are blue snowballs.
Yes, they're not blue, and they're not
They're
snowballs.
not blue.
They're made by a company called Blue.
They're round.
They're round. They're huge.
They're big.
And they sit kind of like right in front of you, and we hook them into one Mac, so it's actually on mine. And so his Mac's not doing anything.
My Mac is just
right now.
hanging out. But my Mac probably has less battery power than yours because mine is just no fun.
And then I'm actually watching the recording. So while Justin might not know this, so I keep the Google Doc in front of me.
I know you do it because sometimes you say, oh.
Yeah, and then
it stopped recording.
Something happens, a GarageBand stops recording or crashes. It's very rare, but it does happen. So we're recording right now 2 different tracks simultaneously. So that's what I don't have to do any splitting anymore. In GarageBand, in the one that has all the beginning and ending in it. So then I can just at the end basically cut a little bit and then hit publish. I then save it as a MP3 from GarageBand, and then we use something called Podcast. Was it Podcaster or something? I forgot what it is.
Podcast Maker. I thought it was
Maker.
Called.
Because we switched tools, but anyway, Podcast Maker that publishes up to CacheFly,
right,
which is our CDN. I've actually had someone say to us, a couple people said, your stuff flies down. I'm like, that's because we are on CacheFly.
Also, the size of our files are not as large as
video
as others.
Yeah, well,
even though they're audio,
really.
Yeah.
Maybe it's optimized. I don't think we don't do anything to optimize them. And then that goes up, and then we publish it to the blog, and then it publishes around, and basically that podcast publisher also sends it over tells iTunes that it's available. So iTunes is reading off a feed, an RSS feed, and then tells it's there. So it's it's very few steps. So that's how we do the technology behind it. Again, in the office, we usually sit here. How we schedule it, so people are like, well, how do you schedule it? The reason we don't have guests ever is because we could never have guests.
We don't do this on a schedule.
It is completely random.
When we're available at the same time.
So Justin and I, for the other thing, we actually live in the same building. It's not we work together.
That's when we say we're in the other podcast studios.
Yeah, so we have recorded from my apartment, which is 5 stories below his apartment.
That's podcast studio
LIC1. Yours is LIC2.
Mine is LIC2.
And this is, I guess, the studio.
This is the studio.
Yeah. So this is a conference room / work room / lunch room / podcasting studio
/ TV room.
Right. We have a big TV behind us, and then to the left, just the things that something funny that you guys might appreciate.
Your left, my right.
Yeah. In the room with us is this shelving unit.
That's called a bookshelf.
A bookshelf. But in it, what's fun is that we have all of our sort of
from
way back swag, all of our Salesforce swag.
So many things.
So there's pictures of Erica Cool up there. There's
a Daryl Shaber.
I have my MVP shoes hanging from there. There's our 2 Appies are up there. There's a Salesforce MVP hat.
Appy Awards. There's a Salesforce. What are those called? Lava lamps.
That's one. I brought that back for you.
From
First Dreamforce because you couldn't go and you're so mad.
I was so pissed.
Yeah.
I was beyond mad.
And then a lot of other
So
swag.
angry. There are books on the bookshelf, believe it or not.
And then hanging in the room, or kind of hanging, is our infographic for our 100th episode, which we did celebrating 100 episode.
85 episodes ago.
85 episodes ago. So coming up on the next one, and it has a lot of stuff. So we have that in here too. But that's it. That's
some bean bags.
Yeah, we have some beanbag chairs that we sit on, or not sit on. We never sit on.
I do.
And so scheduling, we just schedule it when it comes up. Like, literally, like it's kind of my job to schedule it. I guess that's sort of official now.
That's your job.
And I just look at his calendar and I'm like, all right. And I look for like where we're gonna be. Do I have some time? That's why it sometimes is early, sometimes late. You guys know that sometimes it just doesn't happen because we're on vacation.
Sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Sometimes we're whatever. And other people have asked how long it takes. So these are the questions I've gotten. The Backstage.
How long it takes?
Yeah, like how long does it take you to do this?
It takes as long as it takes to record this,
and then probably 15 minutes.
Not that much time.
I would say
not.
it's the
and the planning is probably about 15 to 20 minutes as well.
And that's just a doc that we go in and maybe throw stuff in.
We're both just throwing stuff in as the week goes by. Right. Like, oh, I saw this article, let me throw it in there.
It's templated, so like every week we kind of carry it forward. So all the stuff's in there. We just have to change a few things.
Listen, it's not that time consuming.
No, it's not that time consuming. And
you know what's time consuming?
What?
Speaking of Seguis,
yeah,
Dreamforce 14.
Oh wow, you're moving right off.
Yeah, I'm just moving. I think we've done enough of the behind the scenes.
I had one other thing.
What was your other behind the scene?
The one other behind
brought
the
them behind in the backstage. They've showed their pass. They got past the bouncer.
All right. I thought there was something else that was fun about how we do this.
What apps we use, we said. What hardware we use, we said. How long it takes, we said. How we schedule it, we said. Right. Where do we do it, we've said. Those are all the things you wrote down.
The one last thing.
The one last thing that you didn't write down, Steve Jobs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the one last thing. Before every episode, we do a test of the mics.
Oh, those are good.
So we test the mics before every episode to make
Everybody
sure they
wishes they could hear those.
And then we usually make sounds or noises or yell or scream or sing or swear a lot or do something outrageous. And then we never keep it. So it's never kept. Only once. It's only once been ever kept.
It's been
and it will never
stored, and you will never hear it on this podcast.
No, if you know us well enough,
explicit.
Yes, it's explicit. But we kept
it was good enough.
So funny. So we actually do this thing. So sometimes right before, we always do something right before, just so we can, just to test the mics.
Got to hear the mics.
30 seconds.
Mic check.
And sometimes it's just
Arky behind the glass needs a mic check.
That's right. Oh, and Arky. This is actually in one of the blog posts.
Arky's a rock. You could find that on our blog.
He's a rock.
There's a blog post.
The partner that shall not be named at one point found a company that could basically put your logo on anything. And I think for Christmas, he started putting them on everything. And so I guess he got talked into, hey, you can
rock.
You can put your logo on a rock.
Because we're a cloud computing company, so we have a rock with our logo on it. Nothing says cloud like a rock.
Nothing says
a big,
cloud,
like a heavy rock. It's like a 30-pound rock.
Yes, and so that's Arky. And actually wearing a certified...
yes, Arky has a couple hats on.
With lots of pins.
So who's going to Dreamforce?
You
are going to Dreamforce?
If you want to save $100.
Uh-huh. So... I don't know where that was going. That was going to somewhere, I don't know.
Somewhere no good.
So Dreamforce 14, if you want to save $100, you want to. Here's your discount code, okay? When you're registering at checkout time, you're going to be asked if you have a code. You've got one. It's EC14ARKUS for Arkus. Yes. EC14ARKUS. Save $100. If you go on to dreamforce.com
$4,000
right now, I mean...
Wait, and even better...
It's crazy how expensive this thing is getting. What is it right now? Let's see.
And what else?
I want to register.
That I just wrote in front of you.
Well, I'm not looking. I want to register. I want to register as an... Oh, it's over $1,000 now.
Oh, my goodness.
It's $1,099. We will get it down, but Listen, $999 to the boss sounds a lot better than $1,099.
Going twice.
That's the price until August 12th. It's going to go up again in 4 days.
4 days.
Oh, you so don't want it to go up before you get to it. So use our discount code. See us there. We can be seen at booth N1032. We have our booth number. So check us out at booth N1032.
Also,
yeah,
the rumor is that there will be another. So last year we did a podcasting.
We did it
studio
on the stage at the community zone.
Community zone stage. So the rumor is that might happen again.
Yep.
I don't think I can. There's nothing
That's
really
it.
announced.
It's a rumor.
But this year, if the rumor is true, this year you'll actually be able to hear us.
Perhaps.
Because it'll have front-facing
We're
speakers.
going to try and do that.
Right.
We'll see.
So,
No promises.
Right. You know what
You
we
can
could
still
do?
come see us, though.
If we can't figure out how to record.
We can do it.
Well, if we can't figure out how to record and do the thing at the same time,
Yeah.
maybe we'll just do a live episode.
Yeah, we just do it live.
And record it from down there.
Yeah, we'll have someone stand there and record it. Or maybe we can just put one of these mics in front of the speaker.
Right. Well,
I don't know how that'll work.
That'll be terrible. Anyway, so Dreamforce is coming. Get ready.
All right, so in true Justin fashion for CloudFocus picks of the week.
I have not picked up my pick of the week
Well, this is true fashion. So because this was an all request kind of episode,
yet. Yes.
my app comes from a listener, a frequent listener.
Because you asked for it.
Thank you,
asked
Paul.
For it. Yeah.
I don't know if I asked for it, but Paul's always got my back when it comes to
Nice.
picks. I've never used this app, and I don't know if he has either. He's like, in true Justin fashion, I think I'm picking something that just sounds cool, but I've never used. So now I'm like third hand kind of giving you an app. So it's free. So you don't have to worry about it. It's free. It's called Jink. Jink.
Sounds dirty.
It really kind of does. I wasn't
Don't say
even
that
sure
fast.
about saying it that like on
Slow
this thing.
down.
So anyway, it's called Jink. Delightful Location Sharing, smiley face, by Greenhouse Apps LLC. So this is, do you remember that old app that we used to use like a couple times here and there? It was like, where are you? And you can send them a little thing, and they can sort of track Glimpse. So this is like Glimpse.
Still use Glimpse.
So this is like Glimpse. Way to share your location. Sharing ends when you actually meet up automatically, so it just like turns off apparently, so that it's not draining your battery. It knows that you're together. So when you're meeting people somewhere and they don't know where you are, and you can use Jink to let them know where you are. Meet anyone anywhere. So it's got messaging, it's got the location services, it's got all that stuff. So take it from Paul. Give it a try.
All right, cool. I'm going to make my pick. First, I want to re-pick two things.
It's not cool.
Yes. Yeah, it's totally cool. Well, no, this is not a re-pick, but I'm re-picking two things because they're all in the same category of picking.
All right.
So it is preseason. For those who don't know us, football is my passion, and so that'd be American football. And so come this time of year is when I start getting the, hey, you're paying for things that you subscribe to. And I'm like, oh, what? So the two things, I think I picked this last year. For you who are football fans, there's two things you might want to consider that I've already picked, but I want to repick them just so you know the days. One is called Preseason Live, and it's by the NFL, and it allows you to watch every preseason game live on your iPad, phone, whatever. Also, you can then watch the recaps of every game plus the condensed version. So
I like condensed versions of those games.
There was a game that Justin and I went to yesterday, and I was watching the 30-minute condensed version this morning.
On television?
No, on my iPad.
Right.
In bed, because that's where you should watch football.
Right.
Yeah. So that's awesome. That's only for preseason. It's a subscription. I don't know how much it costs. I don't know, $14, whatever.
Not worth it.
And then
whatever it is,
it's
not worth it. It's $14 for preseason football. Not worth it.
We get to watch every game.
Every meaningless game.
No. And then the other one's called Game Rewind. And Game Rewind is you can watch, this is nothing live, because live is Sunday Ticket, whatever. But you can watch every game, the rewind of it, all season, including past seasons and past Super Bowls and playoff games, both the regular version and the condensed version and the all 22 view.
Is this a subscription service?
It's a yearly subscription. You sign up, you get the year.
It costs?
It's like $50, $40,
a lot of money.
like that. Well, I don't know. That to me is, I spend, my thing on NFL is I spend so much money on NFL, like it's whatever.
So I imagine your pick.
I actually get it free because I'm a season ticket holder.
Your pick is.
But now, those are things I've already picked.
NFL related.
So now the next one just came out this year. It came out 2 or 3 days ago. I signed up I haven't have a full review. Maybe I'll come back in 6 months and tell you whether I really loved it or not. It's called NFL Now. They've been pushing it, and they're pushing it as a way of sort of you sign up for, you tell them your teams, your players, whatever, and then they do a bunch of video clips that are all coming from those players, and you can kind of like get clips of them, whether it's fantasy clips or your team clips. It's sort of like supposed to be very personalized to you. So I signed up for this 2 days ago. It does have it does have a subscription, but it also, I think there's a piece of it that's free, so you get something in the subscription. It's $1.99 a month. I signed up for 1 month just to see like if I'd like it. I don't know what I would do with it in February, but maybe. I was looking at it this morning, and it had clips from last night's game. I could look at any little clip I wanted, and it also had clips from fantasy players I put in, which I thought was kind of neat. So it's NFL Now, $1.99, and it's not because someone I know and love works for the
Universal?
NFL. Yes. Oh, I
download once, get it both places, because otherwise I'm not in.
You're not in anyway.
No.
Well,
$1.99 I'm in. I'm in on anything under like $2.
No, but it's a month.
Oh, a month? Not in.
Yes.
Don't need it. Not necessary.
Well, you don't know because you haven't tried it yet.
I know I don't need it for a subscription.
This is the behind the scenes pass too, is that Justin will not do anything until I've done it for at least a year, and then he'll come back and be like, "Oh, that's so cool!" Like even that thing I'm talking about.
You're my beta tester.
I am. Anyway, so
I should never went to Mavericks.
Oh, I know.
That was a bad mistake.
I have not gone into the beta because I'm too concerned about I'm actually love that they're doing the betas now, because that means many more bugs will be figured out.
Thank you.
Yes.
This operating system from Mac OS this was a bad one.
Just one part of it. Everything else is fine.
No.
NFL Now.
My battery
Let's go.
just
follow us.
drains.
Follow Justin, Just Edelstein. Follow me, Jason Matwood. Follow Arkus, Arkus Inc. Facebook.com/Arkus Inc. Success Community Group.
Yes.
LinkedIn, Google Plus.
Yes.
Subscribe and review in iTunes.
Everywhere.
And Stitcher.
Both of those places.
Go to Stitcher. Stitcher's
do it.
Actually,
it's
a great way to listen.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Listen to us in 1.5 speed. Whatever.
Yes, that's the best. Especially when I talk slow.
Very.
We'll be back next week with actual news and blog posts and stuff that maybe have relevance to you. Till then, Justin, Jason saying, enjoy those cloudy days.